so much fun. Bad news for Dave Marcus fans. Oh, no, and Larry Pearson's going to slam the wall as he turns it around. Oh! And Charlie Glotzbach T-bones him. Red flag is immediately displayed at start-finish. A wicked hit right on the driver's side door. And we will wait and hope for the best here, because that is the worst possible spot to get hit in one of these cars. And they need the ambulance. You can see these guys waving. All right, folks, all the fun is just the balloon has burst a little bit for all of us. Think positive thoughts. Don't want any injuries in this deal. So Larry, the 56-year-old from Spartanburg, South Carolina, will get an update from medical officials as soon as possible. For right now, we'll just step aside and, as I said, think good thoughts. Back here at our Saturday night showdown at Bristol Motor Speedway, and what has been a wonderful evening right now all of a sudden has taken a very serious turn after a turn 2 crash involving Charlie Glotzbach and Larry Pearson. Medical workers are still working on the 21 car that Larry was driving, and we have no word yet from officials as far as his condition, so we will not speculate. What we will do is take one more break and come back here to Bristol. All right, back here at Bristol Motor Speedway at our Saturday night showdown, where with about 4 laps remaining, we are under a red flag condition after a very violent 2-car crash. And there is Charlie Glotzbach as he has climbed out of his car. And Charlie, at the age of 71, from Edwardsville, Indiana, being assisted over to the medical care unit. And it's good to see that he is walking with some assistance, but getting some oxygen there. And there you see in the distance the crews working on the 21 of Larry Pearson. We still do not have any word from medical officials, so unfortunately there's nothing we can tell you right now other than that they are working at extricating Larry Pearson. Stay with us. Back here at Bristol Motor Speedway, we continue under our red flag situation after a very violent 2-car crash involving Charlie Glotzbach and Larry Pearson. We can tell you in our Saturday night showdown that Charlie Glotzbach did walk with some assistance, but he is on his way to the infield care center to be checked out. But to get more on Larry Pearson's situation, let's bring in the man who knows the most of all of us, and that's for sure is Dr. Jerry Punch. Doc.
Well, guys, you hate to have to report when you're a medical doctor or when you're a trauma doc to see these things happen at the racetrack. And as you see what's happening, what they're trying to, the big orange board they're using, that is a backboard. And they've been very, very deliberate and very careful to pull some of these roll bars and pipes away to be able to get the board underneath Larry Pearson and be able to strap him with that board and pull him straight up out of the race car. You don't want to bend him. You don't want to move him. You see them putting him on that backboard. They have an oxygen bag and a mask on him, and so he would put him on the backboard and put him in an ambulance and take him out. His brother Ricky Pearson, his brothers Ricky Pearson and Eddie Pearson are there. They have sent someone over to talk to his dad David and let him know what's going on. But they have been able to get now Larry Pearson out of the car. We'll put him in an ambulance and take him to a nearby medical center, probably in Johnson City. So they are being very deliberate, which is what they should be. And again, the reason it's taking so long is because the car did the roll. In the old days, these roll cages were very, very close to the driver, and you want to make sure you pull the bars away from the driver and free up the legs in the lower part of the roll cage, because it was a very violent impact there in the driver's door.
Doc, has anybody given you any indication of his medical condition at any point here?
They have not so far, and I've seen them come over and talk to Eddie Pearson and Ricky Pearson, the two brothers who are standing there, and they have sent for a car so they can go to the medical center to meet the ambulance when it arrives there as soon as it leaves here in just a few minutes. So,
all right, thanks for the update, Doc, and I know you'll pass along any further information that you get from down there on the scene. And as we said, folks, just keep thinking positive thoughts. We will pass along anything that we can get before we go off the air and before the end of this event. Back here at Bristol Motor Speedway, our red flag situation continues, and we have just had word from Dr. Jerry Punch. He has an update on the condition of injured driver Larry Pearson. Doc?
And Marty, I just spoke with Ricky Pearson, who is the brother for Larry Pearson. Ricky told me he talked to Larry. He said Larry was knocked unconscious. The accident, the impact rendered him unconscious in the car, which is what took him so long to get him out. They had to cut the bars around him off and load him on a backboard. But Ricky said that Larry did speak with him. He was moving both arms. He was able to communicate with both his brothers and talk to them. And in Ricky's term, he was awake and alert. They're going to take him to the hospital for some x-rays. And so they are all breathing a major sigh of relief over here, at least in the Pearson family.
Well, so are we all, Doc. Thanks for that news. It's probably the best news that we could have gotten, considering the situation, the way that car was hit right on that driver's side door, and you can see how far it caved in. So, wow, just that makes the day a lot better.
That was a very, very hard hit. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that car really caved in good. It was great to see Larry hear from his brother that he's talking, because I got to tell you, if I was in that car, I'd have for sure been knocked out. No doubt about that one. That was a hardest. I think that's probably the hardest hit I've seen in years.
Yeah, and we talk about these kind of things can happen here, and Ricky and Larry Pearson are two guys that I grew up with around the racetrack as kids. We were playing as our dads were racing. So we just wish all the Pearson family and certainly Larry the best here.
We're going to step aside one more time. They are going to restart the race here at Bristol, so stay with us. We're probably going to go over our allotted time, but we'll get the last 5 in. Back here at Bristol Motor Speedway, where our red flag situation continues, let's update you if you are just tuning in. We've just passed the bottom of the hour with about, officially 5 laps remaining in this Legends race. A very severe crash involving Charlie Glotzbach slamming into the driver's side door of a spinning Larry Pearson. And we did, just before we went to commercial break, that's the remains of Charlie Glotzbach's car, get an update from Dr. Jerry Punch. He talked to Larry's brother. Larry's brother said he was alert, that he was able to talk to him. They are transporting him as we speak to a Johnson City hospital. If we get further information, we will pass it on. Now, we are going to show you this one time in real speed, and we want to warn you that this is a violent crash. So if you've got young ones and you don't want to see it, turn away right now.
Larry gets in the corner, just gets a little loose right there, spins, kind of a normal deal. Looks like the left rear tire is down on the car.
And then there's where Charlie comes in, right on the driver's side door. And as Dr. Jerry Punch confirmed, that he had been knocked unconscious, but did regain consciousness, was talking to his brother when they transported him from here at Bristol Motor Speedway to a local hospital. And there are the remains of what's left of Larry's car as they try and load it on the flatbed. Let's get an update on Charlie Glotzbach's situation. We saw him walk away from the car. Jamie Little, I think you've got more?
Yes, medical just told me that he was knocked unconscious. Now, they have loaded him back up in the ambulance. They are transporting him to the local hospital in Bristol as a precaution. Now, he did have some cuts on him, but he says he is okay. And as you said, he walked in there. But as for further evaluation, they're going to take him to the hospital.
Well, and that's a good move. And obviously, that's good news. Thank you, Jamie. And, we just hate to see this. We were having so much fun watching these legends out there, having a great time just doing laps. And sometimes we all forget that, they're still doing 120 miles an hour.
Yeah, we just talked about the speeds, and Rusty, you'd mentioned how fast they were running around here, and the one thing, maybe a couple of things. These race cars are very safe. They've built very well. maybe they're not up to the same standards as what the Cup cars are, as far as what the thickness of the roll bars and things have to be. Don't really know that for sure, but you can see how that speed automatically caved that in. So, but they did a great job with the building of the cars.
And one other thing we don't know, Rusty, is I don't think that there were any spotters out there. So, Charlie, people, you have a tendency you can't see through that A pillar post when you're in that corner sometimes.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there, Marty, though. I can't blame it on not having a spotter, though. This particular incident looks like Larry blew a left rear tire. The car went up the racetrack, hit the wall. And a lot of drivers, including myself, when I see a driver up against a wall, a lot of times I gas it up to go down low to try to outrun the car that's coming across the track. Now, it looks like Charlie just kept his same speed and just had nowhere to go at that moment. But, I'm in the same ballpark as Dale is. These cars are very, very safe. This is the worst thing you want to see a driver have happen to you, get hit in the door. But NASCAR, they've done a really good job with the extra foam in between the door and the roll cage, things like that, to make that better.
All right, so they are finishing the cleanup process here. If we do get more word from the hospital, we will certainly pass it on. We'll take another break and come back to wrap up Saturday Night Showdown. Back here at Bristol Motor Speedway, the cleanup continues after our red flag situation involving the two-car crash of Charlie Glotzbach and also Larry Pearson. That is David Pearson. That is a live shot of him. He is putting his helmet away. Obviously, he has withdrawn from the race. 5 laps remaining, and he is going to head to the hospital. Let's get more from Vince Welch.
Well, guys, even before the accident, they were considering bringing David Pearson in because he had grazed the wall a little bit earlier and had knocked the toe out of the car, and it was becoming very difficult to handle. And then once the accident took place, they radioed to David, and David at that point was going to stay in the car until the race finished. But because of the way the car is handling and the situation involving his son Larry, he's decided to go ahead and get out of the car, get changed, and get to the hospital. And probably in the best sense of things, the right decision to make.
And that was his youngest son, Eddie, going in with him there into the area right down there behind Pit Road. And, certainly understandable. I mean, if it was Steven, you'd probably be heading for the hospital, too.
No, absolutely. There's just no doubt about that. I mean, just like he said, though, he's a racer, but the car is tore up a little bit. There's no reason to keep going out there. So let's go to the hospital, check on his son. Looks like their brothers are all heading that way, like Dale said. And this is something that obviously I would do, too.